you are going to learn to use waves of your own natural energy.
Hey ghosts, welcome to my second anniversary of my adventure with the Gateway Experience. This is my third video in trying these techniques, so if you haven't seen the other ones, it would probably help to go back and watch. That way you'll know what the Gateway Experience is, how I found it, and why I'm doing it. But if you're all caught up in your supportive reading, then let's go. I found this wonderful practice 2 years ago because the algorithms of the internet know that I live to escape reality. Although the first time I tried it, I was woefully unprepared, and although open-minded enough to try it, clearly skeptical. But I kept at it and I experienced some surreal things along the way. And now it's been 2 years and I'm ready to talk about it again. And given how much people love these videos, I should just make this a gateway channel and post about astral projection every week. Since last year, I've learned a lot more about the process and what to expect from the experience. I found all of this through the TikTok community who were sharing that the CIA had published their documents about how the Gateway Experience absolutely does induce out-of-body experiences. But in going to the source, Robert Monroe, the man who coined the term out-of-body experience, I learned that you actually don't need the tapes to do it at all, which makes this a very expensive prop. Monroe's own experiences came from a different set of steps to what's outlined on the tapes. And as you'll see from my previous experiences, I actually didn't have any OBEs from the tapes. I mostly just lucid dreamed. I also struggled with any of the tapes that had heavy guidance because Robert Monroe's voice just snapped me out of focus. So for the last year, I sometimes used the tape to see if any would rouse my second state and help ease the sunk cost. And sometimes I would follow Monroe's techniques. And here's what he says to do to incur the out-of-body experience. Lie down along the north-south axis with your head to magnetic north. Loosen your clothes, but keep warm enough. Get the room a little dark, but not blacked out, and make sure you won't be disturbed. Then relax your body and mind. To do this, he suggests using auto or self-hypnosis, which involves being trained by a hypnotist. I don't know if hypnotists were pretty common in the 70s, but I don't know any. You can also relax by being in borderland sleep state, the state just between being awake and being asleep. You have to hold your focus in this state and resist the urge to just fall asleep. Then he says that you let go of your senses and then you feel refreshed and ready to travel. Now, he says there is another way to get into this relaxed state: drugs, which I will cover later on. So once you're relaxed, you then say in your head, I will consciously perceive and remember all that I encountered during this relaxation period. I will recall in detail when I am completely awake, only those matters that will be beneficial to my physical and mental well-being. This makes me think that bad things happen in this state and we just forget about it. Severance vibes. I always struggle to remember this word for word and you have to say it 5 times. Then you get into the state of vibration. To do this, you breathe through your mouth and concentrate on the blackness of your closed eyes. Then you look through your closed eyelids to a spot 1 feet away from your face, then 3 feet away, then 6 feet away. Then you mentally pull the vibrations into your head. Once your whole body is vibrating, it's then time to control the vibrations. And from there, you should be able to float out. So, I have given this all a try and I have had no success. I just do not feel the vibrations. No vibes. Which is really disappointing because I've been practicing for so long. So, I tried the other method of relaxation. I decided to try the Gateway Experience while high. Sorry, Mum. I wondered what drugs would add to the experience, and Monroe did mention that it was a way to do this. So I turned on, tuned in, and dropped out. And for the first time, I experienced the vibrations that people talked about. Now, I used a gateway tape because I wasn't in a good place to be remembering anything, and I needed the guidance. But I felt an all-over shiver in my body, like softly shaking, and the tape asked me to reach out to my loved ones and ask for a message. So I did. I got this tingling feeling in my heart. It was like a hug around my heart. It was very pleasant. And my first thoughts were that I was being told to follow my heart. And then my second thoughts were that I should take care of my heart. Both seemed like good advice. So I'm going to take both messages on board. Honestly, I am so surprised that I felt the tremors. It has been such a long time of trying. I honestly thought it was never going to work. The thing is, I felt the vibrations, I had that feeling in my heart and this message, but I didn't actually leave my body. So does it count, or was I just high and happy? It's April and I'm in Berlin in this nice peaceful apartment, and I followed my heart to some film events and met lots of filmmakers, and then decided to take the opportunity to do some gateway practice. Also, as a freelancer, I'm having a bit of a dry spell, and I couldn't be more ash if I didn't spend all my savings on travelling. So even in this tranquil environment, I wasn't able to have an out-of-body experience. I did lucid dream quite a lot and had some interesting adventures there. In one of them, I kicked a man's hat off his head with my own legs. Yes, it was quite fun. But sadly, I did not have an out-of-body experience. I'm a little disappointed that so far I haven't had anything. I'm really looking out for those vibrations and I'm really trying to focus. Unfortunately, sometimes I just feel so sleepy that I end up just dreaming. And even lucid dreaming, I feel like that's all because I'm just slipping out of consciousness and just sleeping. So I've continued to try. However, a few weeks ago, I received a message with some interesting observations about the gateway experience. Someone pointed me towards a TikTok channel called Museum of Tarot. The account is run by a neuro and computer scientist who talks about his research into how the gateway experience works. Now, the tapes do tell you to have your headphones on the right way round, so that your left hemisphere and your right hemisphere are receiving the correct binaural beats in order to sync up. Honestly, I kind of forgot about this part of it because it just feels so not important in the grand scheme of things. I took it seriously and I always wore the headphones the right way, but it doesn't feel like it's a big part of the process. However, in these videos, the scientist takes a look at the patents for the Monroe Institute. He says that they are not just playing binaural beats, they're playing other brainwaves, which I did not know was a thing. Apparently, all brainwaves are unique, like a fingerprint, and different wave patterns are indicative of a person's neural state. We can tell if someone has certain neurological disorders like epilepsy or Parkinson's disease based on their brainwaves. And the scientist goes on to say that when you play another person's brainwaves to your own brain, yeah, that's the word, that they start to sync up. And now we have a conspiracy within a conspiracy, because he uses the reference of a Japanese terror group from the 90s who wore equipment that brought their brainwaves in sync with their leader so that they were all learning from his thought process. But there's also speculation that this was a government setup, framing the leader when really they were experimenting with controlling minds. Again, I had no idea this was real. I've heard of MK Ultra, which seems similar, but I also understood that it was linked with very experimental drugs and torture, so it made sense to me that their minds would be molded. With this, the gateway experience, I didn't think that something this simple could have a deep impact. But what Museum of Tarot is saying is that the gateway tapes are playing a brainwave that your brain will fall in sync with. And no one knows what that's in tune with. Does that make sense? And people were pointing out in the comments that the gateway experience gained popularity through TikTok, an app that people believe is a modern day opium crisis revenge. So a couple of years ago, I actually met someone who told me that they were a fugitive of their home country's government and that they had been experimented on using brainwaves and binaural beats. I met them in a hostel in London, just to add to the bizarre stories that I tell from hostels I've been to. And the whole time that I interacted with them, they had a headset on and they were listening to clearing tones in order to drown out the brainwaves that they'd been synced to. I listened and I took that at face value because I had no reason not to believe them. But I also don't know. I don't know what to think of it. And I don't know what I'm listening to when I listen to the tapes. So I think I'm happy to continue my quest to have an out-of-body experience, but I might start looking at alternative methods. I'm not gonna lie, I have considered that if my channel makes enough money to cover it, that I would travel to the Monroe Institute and do one of their courses. I guess time will tell if that ever becomes feasible or if I ever get brave enough to do it. Bearing in mind that I did remove bravery from my subconscious 2 years ago when I started this. So maybe drop by my theta waves and help me pluck up the courage. Let me know your thoughts on the gateway and I'll see you out there.